Hmm. My name is the comedian Lionel Lewis. The other day I was having a conversation with some guys. It came to the conversation of Godhead, or belief in something greater than ourselves. We know if we're here, I know if I'm standing in a parking lot and I'm looking at an SUV next to a sedan, next to another SUV, next to a Tesla in front of me, I'm not the cars physically. I'm me, there's the cars, there's a space between. Now, theoretically, you could say, yeah, energy, we are the same. But I'm just talking here in brass tacks, in common talk. I know that there's something that I am not. The word for that, I mean, you think as far as going back with the word agnostic. Agnostic is people who is a belief that it is impossible to know for a human being to ever actually know the conceptual of a Godhead, something greater than yourself, a connection, something above our mundane existence. Where, of course, the opposed to be the agnostic belief, where it would be inherent or the birthright of all human beings who are born connected to a Godhead, going with the capability or with actually the absolute of knowledge with something greater than ourselves, a connection with the universe, an objective-subjective union, which I believe is the definition of yoga, is union. Which, if you want to think of it in a more wax intellectual, more deep term, even if one human being had Gnostic belief in all of history, one human being truly believed that all humans inherently were connected and had knowledge of a greater being than themselves, of this great connection with all things of a Godhead, it would then, by defunct Hawk's pass, by deductive logic, make that so for all human beings, void of time, space limitations, and the limitations we can impose upon differences of how we simultaneously and vicariously exist throughout the eons and the illusion of time and separation. I know, I'm a comedian, and I know that it's something greater than myself came before me and created the comedy for people like me, the comedians, to have purpose and give back meaning to life via the comedy. Thus, my life has purpose, and I give back to life meaning by the comedy as a comedian. I've been a comedian my whole life. I know comedy's been a part of most people's lives, so much everybody's life in one form or another. If we choose to think back and look at it through that lens. I remember as a child going to church. My old man took us to church on Sundays, listening to Jeff Foxworthy cassettes in the van on the way to church. Always been comedy there, outside of just the humor of being a human being. So over the past few years, I've actually traveled around doing comedy, and I've lived on the street. I'm not the H word. Don't you think the H? Don't you say the H word? You would think the H word. The H word. This is America. I'm here. We're here. All right. This is it. Welcome. But I've traveled across the country, and you see things living on the streets. I mean, being a street ninja, you experience places and things that you don't as an apartment samurai or a house prostitute. I mean, samurai, as a sheltered dweller. I call one night in particular in Phoenix, Arizona. Actually, it was late that night. I'd walked kind of off at nightfall, walked across some railroad tracks, and I walked. There's a grassy meadow, like a little knoll that ducked down. And in the distance was some industrial areas with some kind of lights out in the distance and parking lots, industrial buildings. And a rarity for Phoenix to see grass. I walked out and I remember walking through it, and in the corner up against a knoll was actually a chair. And I sat in that chair, and I remember looking out, the breeze passing through, trees hanging, the wind blowing through around knee-high grass, and the moon, a full moon, bright, lighting up the metal, shining down. And I just sat there all night, just invigoratingly just masturbating. I mean, it was It was great. I mean, it was once in a lifetime. You should have been there. You would have loved it. It was magical.